Have you ever wanted to feel like your friends would help you as a friend in need and all show up butt naked to hold a celestial body in place for you? Have you ever wanted to perform oral surgery on the moon only to discover mid-operation you wanted to be a mask salesman? If that sounds like you, then understand that good things come to those who wait, and there is plenty of waiting to be had here. The key is to wait until you see the whites of the moon's eyes. We might be waiting here a while, so let me explain why you are the perfect candidate for the Legend of Zelda Majora Mask's brand of facial reconstructive surgery. In this game, you play a boy named Link. If that name didn't form a mental image for you, it's this boy right here. Not to be confused with this fine man who is his 7 years older counterpart on a separate timeline. Yeah, there's a many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics thing going on in the Zelda universe. You can thank Ocarina of Time for sticking to its guns and not using a clickbait title by actually giving us wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey mechanics. To prevent the events leading to Hyrule's destruction in the 7-year gap of Ocarina of Time, Zelda tells Link to take her magic ocarina that controls big blue blocks and time and go as far away from Hyrule as possible. Would hate to have any awkward romance with him. Best we make sure he's not even in the same kingdom anymore. Rationalizing his abandonment issues, Link did kind of want to find his fairy friend who just straight up left when his quest was over, being like, yeah, I did what the Deku Tree told me to do. Our relationship was strictly business. Smell you later, nerd. Not like you were a Kokiri or anything. Those are the rules, just saying. Well, easy enough. We'll just lift this juvenile gypsy horse of 652 pounds up onto a plateau to meander through an endless forest until Ganondorf dies. Hopefully not of natural causes. Some sleepless nights and chafing from riding a horse bareback in a tunic, and Link realizes why he should have brought a saddle. Within moments of being concussed, a Mardi Gras reveler steals Link's horse and ocarina, sends him through a mushroom stem full of flashing lights, turns him into a very sad baby ballerina bush with a leaky snout while mentioning how our horse was taken care of. Next, you'll tell me he'll eat a cake to grow 20 times his normal size. Well, don't ask too many questions, but one of his fairies becomes your fairy because the fairy's ex-owner is unsurprisingly an asshole. That Alice in Wonderland mushroom sinkhole leads to a paradoxical Euclidean hallway that connects to a clock tower in an alternate world, complete with alternate universe versions of characters from Ocarina of Time, and somehow the masked salesman from your original world is also here. He mentions he too was robbed by the mysterious Mardi Gras child who stole Majora's Mask from him and asks you to get it back for him. But I guess it's not that important to him because he only has 3 days to wait before he'll just leave if he doesn't have it. Mask imbued with ancient power used in an evil tribe's hexing rituals? Who needs it when you've got Mario's face? So long, Bowser. You still with me? Ah, I see you really did want to celebrate Saturnalia with your naked friends after all. I hope that all sunk in because that 30 minutes of cutscenes and dialogue are all the backstory we're getting for a little while. Remember when I said that you'll need to be patient and do a lot of waiting before we get to the good stuff? Remember, the mask salesman is only giving us 72 hours to get the mask back, so now, no worries, don't panic. Keep being patient and take your time, but also, I'm just gonna put this little thing right here. There we go, it's a clock. This will act as a reminder of just how bountiful our time reserves are. Oh, we'll be fine. That gives us 30 real-world minutes to get Majora's Mask back to the salesman and save the day. Now, go do whatever. The world is your oyster, as long as your oyster is the city of Clocktown. Since in Deku form, the booty short guards refuse to let you pass. There's plenty to do. You could talk to this guy. Stalk the mailman on his route? I didn't know mailmen deliver letters at 2 in the morning. What a fascinating work-life balance these people have. Throw flashbangs at children playing hide-and-seek to teach them why cheating is an art reserved for the privileged few. Meet the mayor of a town bustling with merriment for the coming festival, and witness debilitating anxiety take hold of a population in denial about their impending demise, the realization of which dawns on them incrementally, day by day, until many start to just do things that feel safe, even if they don't really understand what safe in this situation would really entail. Book your next adventure at Clocktown. You see, a lot of interviews mention that Koizumi was inspired to create Majora's Mask based on a dream he had. Something less frequently mentioned is that some of the game's tone was birthed from a wedding he attended in the middle of the Taipei-dong North Korean missile crisis. The sense of imminent death in the midst of a happy celebration was tantalizing fertilizer for this new game they were creating about a moon crashing into the world. Oh, yeah. There's that celestial body I mentioned, by the way. The plot thickens. All that said, with this being one of Koizumi's last opportunities to flex his writing chops, you can expect to shed some tears and feel paralysis as you realize there's nothing you can do for these people but deliver joy to the happy man who sells, the man who sells happy men. No, that's not it either. The Happy Mask Salesman. Oh, look at that, only 48 in-game hours remain. If you feel tense, it's probably because you followed the mailman for 24 hours on his route and all that did is make you 5 rupees poorer and give you an intimate deep dive into the psyche of the sole remaining lifelong employee of the Clocktown mail delivery system. So progress is clawing the secret hideout code from the grip of the increasingly racist children you flashbanged earlier, who now resent all shrub men for flashbanging them, so that you can reach the fenced-in observatory outside of Clocktown. And yes, within the lens of that beautiful contraption for the scrutiny of scintillation is the one and only lunar celestial body, as well as that Mardi Gras boy again. So the moon gently weeps. Gently. Now we just have to deliver a scrub-sized tear to a fellow shrub man who suffers from severe leg atrophy so he can use it as jewelry for his lovely wife. This will form the foundations of our new Deku Flower empire. First Clocktown, then Scruffy, I swear to God. Dogs aside, we can use the pollen from that flower to jettison ourselves up onto the clock tower platform, which we previously couldn't reach because of our stubby little legs. Why we couldn't just ask someone for a boost is a mystery, but it probably is some form of racism. Now, if all that exploration and world building don't do it for you, since you want to be a speedrunner when you grow up, you can also just get up on this platform by doing this. That there just saved you listening to the past 7 pages of script. Regardless of how you got here, you have 6 minutes left to deliver the ultimate source of evil in the universe to the mask salesman, who will use it to no doubt spread innocence and joy in the world. Is this the critical showdown where we get all the finishing exposition to round out this short but sweet game? Nope, snot bubble to the face. The blue sweet potato time is now a one-bush brass ensemble. Now we can finally do our best impression of Dizzy Gillespie, but how is this going to help us with the whole moon thing? Well, that potato is a versatile tuber in that it not only can be used to make golden crispy hash browns, but is also an important layering component in home-baked potato moussaka. In other words, in addition to the ocarina controlling time and space, it can also counteract Majora's hexes and turn the whole ordeal into cute commemorative masks. We have the mask salesman's pipe organ playing skills to thank for this. And all of that was just the game's first cycle. Now understand, I don't want to misrepresent anything here. This is still a Legend of Zelda game, teeming with dungeons and linear progress from region to region. But that time system and your interactions with the people living within that world is a perfect moralistic barometer of your quality as a human being. Don't believe me? Now that we are Homo sapiens and not amoral bush creatures, we have the power to change people's lives forever. That mailman from earlier who delivered himself a letter to convince himself to break rank and flee from the military regimen of delivering the mail in the wake of an impending conflagration? You have the power to make it happen for him. All you need to do is dedicate time to it. Oh sure, he gives you his hat if you help him, but the real reward is to be able to watch him do this. A man was thrown out due to noise complaints and now plays to an audience of 1 frog at the laundromat at 1 in the morning. Well, you were the only soul in sight, so you better be prepared for him to unload his entire life history on you. That man's mask? A Pied Piper for baby roosters that'll help this man realize his dreams of seeing the roosters reared to adulthood before his inevitable death in 2 days' time. He cheated by having you use a magic mask to shorten the lifespan of these roosters by a few years, but utilitarian ethical models would claim that this was fine, since the roosters' lifespans are no shorter than they would have been with the moon's crash anyway. This man in the observatory puts on the face of a wizened and adventurous scientist for children, but admits his growing concern for the end of the world and accepts his fate, acknowledging he had a long and good life in the company of adults. I mean, at least mentally, he's already sort of saved himself, hasn't he? Well, that was an easy win. Nearly every single one of the 24 masks in the game have a quest or story attached, and all of them revolve around helping people and creatures from the goodness of your heart. Except for the All-Night Mask and Giant's Mask. Those are products of grotesque black market capitalism and probably grave robbery. Speaking of the black market, did you know that it would only take selling 100 unborn Zora eggs on the black market to buy yourself the All-Night Mask wholesale? Why do you need to know this? Oh, just food for thought. Your powers of transformation in this game don't stop at baby bushes either. You can also turn into sashimi, and a rock best described as a trovent, a mysterious living rock that haunts the countryside of Romania's Costezi village. Google it, it's fascinating stuff. The sashimi, formerly known as Mikau, suffered tragic lacerations after attacking a fortress of pirates specialized in sharp edges. The other, Darmani, a war hero whose scar across his abdomen implies evisceration from a final boss, but in reality he just fell off a slippery ledge on his way to Snowhead. You play them a merry melody to subdue their spirits into these masks. The mask salesman says we freed them. Maybe. Or perhaps they are now trapped to forever live a tormented undeath, locked within the masks we use on our quest. Well, utilitarian ethical models would. Either way, we can become them now, which is great because it liberates us from the shackles of banal bipedal motion while also allowing us to play out the perfect crime of identity theft. These transformations will help pave the way for diplomatic relations with the all-too-trusting natives of the other regions. The southern swamp scrubs, the northern mountain Gorons, the western ocean Zoras, and the eastern canyon... well, death. 4 regions, 4 temples, 4 giants. I think you know where this is going. Oh, don't worry. There's enough side content here to keep those dungeons as looming objective markers to you for hours to come. For instance, the local suicide rats and cactus jellos seems to have erected barriers to prevent entry to the ocean or canyon. For us to cross those steeplechase obstacles, we'll need a horse. A horse seemingly sent to the glue factory. So what do we do about that situation? Well, if you explore around on the 3rd day, you can stumble across an area called Romani Ranch. You could have come here on earlier days, but the path would have been blocked by a boulder. As fate would have it, like a magnet drawn to a gravitational pole, our 652-pound gypsy pony, Epona, has found her way to Romani Ranch, now caged and seemingly the only horse on the entire property. Besides the horse, there are the conspicuously absent cattle. We'll get to that. Chickens, whose meat and egg edibility is dubious following their recent growth spurt at the hands of a magic mask, and the tenuously legal activity of gambling on Deku Scrub dog hunting parties. And by that I mean dog races. Yes, that's right, dog races, just innocent dog races. No dog hunting here, not hunting scrubs, no. Oh, hold on. He's turning this around. He's turning it around. It's him versus Gold. Gold might win, but he might lose too. Gold might win, but he might lose too. Oh, 2nd place. 2nd place. That doubles our earnings. That's pretty good. Coming on the 3rd day, though, you find a girl sitting on a box, struggling with a hangover no Bloody Marys could cure. In the house is the disappointed sister who laments the gaping hole in her barn, the barren desertion of her cattleless stalls, and wishes she'd listened to her sister's cries for help before she did something crazy in the middle of the night while in a drunken stupor. We're too late, but we have magic Time Lord powers, so let's see what other butterfly effect paths we can take here. First of all, we aren't getting past that boulder without some heavy-duty explosives, so don't even think about it until you've gotten the bow and arrow from the Swamp's Woodfall Temple, meaning you'll need to fight these embodiments of Z-axis frustration get knocked into spikes in a vat of cancer-causing PFAS-infused water thanks to Link's overreaction to a moth bite, have a heart attack when the darkness itself opens its eyes to greet you, learn that wood is flammable, and save this monkey from being turned into the Deku-Scrub delicacy of monkey soup before he sustains third-degree burns. Well, fatal third-degree burns anyway. Did all that? Good, because now we need to shoot down icicles to open the way to Goron Village, search the blustery and slippery mountainside of Snowhead for a cryogenically preserved Goron fossil, free him from the ice using thermodynamics, learn a lullaby from a baby, commit murder, flex hard with our elite gaming skills by rolling all the way to the entrance of Snowhead in a single roll. Yes! Nailed it! Discover the residual footprint of the Dodongos from the before times. Get frustrated at the semi-destructible pillar that makes this dungeon a frozen hell. Fight a mechanical goat taking advantage of his weak point. Realize that this is the only one of the 4 giants who doesn't have anything to say to us whatsoever because he's too busy playing with his temple's pillar. Talk to a giant Goron who will give us our terrorism license as long as we can carry a lit explosive keg cross-country without plastering our body against a wall, and then go to town to spend money on an explosive keg that we've at long last earned the right to possess. If you are like me and realize you've arrived a day late to the party, you can expedite the boulder demolition by shooting an arrow straight through the powder keg. Please note, however, that doing this is a crime in most kingdoms and has been scientifically proven to not really save you all that much time anyway. And it's the leading cause of death in Goron mining camps, so no archery and demolition at the same time, okay? Given you actually make your way into Romani on the very first day, you'll see a very different side to this ranch. The girl says words to you and calls you a grasshopper. Yeah, at least she isn't literally brain dead like last time. You get to reclaim your horse and ride off into the sunset using Epona's song. And honestly, this is all you have to do here, given you've been recently diagnosed with being a heartless bastard. For the rest of us, it's go time. Oh sure, it may not look like much, but this is our alien killing mask. When aliens look upon these bouncy, floppy ears, they will know that they have looked upon the harbinger of their demise, an unfaltering and relentless demigod, ready to terminate their pathetic and strangely incandescent lives. Maybe you'll multitask and come back here just in the nick of time. Or maybe you'll wait around admiring the sights and sounds of healthy cows crammed in this tiny stable. Or you've chosen to gamble on a dog filled with conviction and bringing bread to his family's table, since the losers on this dog track are starved to death for their insolence. The wisest of the dogs have learned to take nothing for granted, and that neither victory nor loss is ever assured. The only freedom and reprieve these dogs have is the assurance that in 3 days' time they will never need to race again. And that is truly the beauty of it. Some love the new features in Majora's Mask 3D that lets you skip to specific times a day, but then you lose a core mechanic in the process. Managing your time effectively so that every hour is spent productively, even if not necessarily productive towards a singular goal. Of course, in some instances, you'll be confronted with the physical manifestation of what happens in your brain when you try to multitask too much. Oh, yes, not having a sword sure is fun. Alright, cool. Guess we're not getting a save spot or a warp spot. At the very reasonable hour of 2 a.m. on the first day. How is it still the first day if it's 2 a.m.? They arrive. Should we fail in our mission by, say, changing allegiance and heading the march of aliens towards the cow menace instead, then we watch the cows and the girl known as Romani? Like the ranch? Oh, I see. Her parents were very creative. Get sucked up into space, ne'er to return again. Or at least, they will never be the same. Hooray! We did it! It was all thanks to the barking dog and this errant piece of fence. Romani can hardly contain her excitement at our success. Here's Romani's thanks. When you drink it, put your hand on your hip and take a big gulp like we do here at the ranch. With the cows saved, we can now focus our attention on completing the hug run. So what is the hug run? Well, normally at this point you would wait for the evening of the second day to join Cremia, Romani's sister, on a quaint covered wagon ride through the countryside. A countryside her donkey is clearly allergic to. Some conspicuously familiar-looking men in hoods attack, looking to shatter the milk pots in the wagon, but if you wear this mask of a crying Luigi, they'll leave you alone. By the end, Crimea will be grateful enough to compensate you for your trouble, but she will only ever pay you with a mask-based membership pass to the milk bar or money. Now, we are above these materialistic rewards. We want something more from Crimea, but unfortunately, she will not give us the affection we deserve until we make sure we are positively loaded. I'm sure we can find some reputable sources of income. Seeing that we are exclusive members of high society with plenty of cash to throw around, she realizes what she's been missing. Wow, he got further in his relationship with Crimea in a single day than he ever did with Zelda. If we return on the third day, we can even see the results of our labors coming to pass. Instead of being upset that the cows are gone and her sister is brain dead, now Crimea needs to concern herself with inoculating her sister using clearly alcoholic milk to dull her senses for the approaching lunar shock. It seems no matter what you do, Romani is going to be at least somewhat incapacitated for her death. Temples? Giants? The moon? Oh, right, sorry. Got sidetracked in side quests. We're far from done with those, by the way, but we are strapped for time, aren't we? More on that next cycle. Well, we can play the reverse song a time. This will let us double our available cycle completion time to about 2 hours. So now we can see USPS deliveries performed in real time. You know where I like to go when I'm stressed out from flagrantly disregarding security barriers? That's right. A climate change-addled ocean, the temperature of bathwater. Honestly, much like in real life, the ocean here is a great expanse of wet nothing. Don't let that flat, conveniently murky N64 water texture fool you. Everything is not as pleasant as the ocean's surface would lead you to believe. Ooh, a swarm of sea vultures pecking at a corpse floating on the surface. Okay, yeah, actually, that about represents the depths this will go to. A song and a mask and a quick swim later. Okay, fine. One of these cycles, I guess it's okay for us to be decent people and return the Zora eggs to their rightful mother instead of selling them in an alley. I hope you are prepared for the second sneaking mission of the game. Operation Milk Drinker. Put me through to the salesman.
Good. I'm glad to see that you made it into the Pirate's Fortress, Link.
Yeah, so I had a question. I'm here to save the Zora eggs. What do I do when I find them? Walk out of here an egg in each hand?
That would be a sight to see for sure, but no. The eggs are made of a membranous material like real fish eggs are. You should be able to squish them down easily and put them into one of your bottles. Have you ever had Tobiko on sushi, Link?
Tobiko? Sir.
It doesn't matter. You just really go for some Tobiko right now.
I'll have to try it sometime, though I can never bring myself to order anything other than the spicy salmon roll.
A solid choice to be sure.
For sure. But weren't there 4 eggs I needed to collect?
That's correct.
You only sent me on this mission with 2 bottles.
Listen, Link. Nobody can know that this is a Hylian mission. The less that can be traced back to me, the better.
Sir, with all due respect, you weren't even the one who gave me the first 2 bottles. I found them at random. This means that with only 2 bottles, there will be a lot of back and forth sneaking. Unless, of course, you are willing to go out of your way to find more bottles. Out of your way as in, somewhere we've never been before. To Ikana Canyon. If we use our lens of truth here, we can see an invisible soldier. He would like to overcome his crippling lack of self-confidence, but lacking the ability to do this himself, requests of us to deliver him confidence-boosting medication. All the way from the swamp. I'll spare you the trek. With the power of medication, this soldier can now finally flail his arms wildly to an audience of exploding rats and provides us a masked version of his ailment. The perfect sneaking suit for our sneaking mission. As for the bottle, predictably in a haunted canyon, you'll get it from digging around some haunted graves. Naturally, we didn't have a Nintendo Power on us, so you almost certainly didn't do any of this. Is there another way? Well, you could take the hook shot you get unleashing some absolutely lethal-looking wasps on these unsuspecting women partway through the fortress, then on your exit trip, climb up a precarious beachside waterfall and outswim some motorized beavers. Poor guy went to Vegas and came back looking like this. There isn't a cure. They'll give you a bottle too, but once again, will you know to do this while rushing to save your... I mean Lulu's babies. Also, to do this, you already would have emptied your bottles on the way there. So why bother? Now, this isn't the time to give up. Yet. That comes later after you've assassinated a pirate so you can get a photo of their lifeless body to the fisherman in exchange for an iridescent seahorse so you can save its lover in exchange for the genocide of an entire race of giant eels. Getting the remaining Zora eggs while doing this is incidental. Oh, did I say we were returning the eggs to their rightful mother? My bad. I meant we were donating them to scientific marine research. Remember that climate change bullet I introduced this zone with? Yeah, the water would boil these eggs alive. Besides, Lulu is still getting her room fumigated for scrubs. The test tube babies impressed their adoptive father with all the music they learned while still in an embryo sharing a fish tank with clams and neglected goldfish. So we zoom off to Lulu with the new song to help restore her voice and summon a turtle to take us past deadly water currents to, yes, finally enter the actual temple for this region of the game. I generally keep things short when I mention the temples in Majora's Mask. It's not that there's anything wrong with most of them, it's just Eiji Aonuma designed these dungeons. If that name is familiar, it's because he was involved in a directing capacity on every 3D Zelda game leading up to Skyward Sword. His dungeons are all unique, intricate, great to go through, and the same wonderful, puzzly, dungeony experience that can be had in almost every single 3D Zelda game. It just isn't the major contributing factor in what makes Majora's Mask charming. These are what make it a Zelda game, but not what make it a unique Zelda game. What I will say about Great Bay Temple is that despite being regarded as the worst temple in Majora's Mask, I still personally feel that title is more well-deserved by Snowhead. Great Bay is themed around following water currents. As long as you pay attention to these currents, there is literally no way to screw up in this dungeon. The switches you flip are all permanent, so you can't trap yourself at any point. Just make sure you cover all the blanks on your map and you'll be fine. Can't shake the feeling that I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah! Georg! Wait, I have magic. I'm gonna die for it, but now I have magic. Thanks, Georg. Oh, you bastard. I knew I could count on you, buddy. Wow, look at that. Even the ocean giant decided to show up. Really starting to look pretty weak here, mountain giant. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time, and while the beach might be a great place for a scrub to set up shop inside of someone's house, we have more pressing matters to attend to. And yes, there is a quest chain where you can help these scrubs move to different flowers where they can set up shop. Despite all of them chasing their dreams of nut brown beach babes, the only ones satisfied in the exchange are the scrubs that go back home to do business, or to their wife. Either way was fine. There's a lesson in there somewhere. Probably that selling your products domestically can be profitable thanks to the potential for reduced competition, especially in the niche bomb bag market. Despite a reduction in clientele, being the sole supplier has its advantages. Also, your wife will love you. Now, the trouble with canyons is they are always accompanied by cliffs. You can ignore the cliff and just go to the graveyard, a fine choice if you just want to pass time while waiting for the Snowhead Forge to make you a better sword. This thing here is an iron knuckle. You beat it by performing some of the coolest sword slashes and sick backflips in the game. Of course, without a sword, I will instead introduce you to the Goron Knuckles to Knuckle Challenge. Getting greedy. Oh. Ah, good. You managed to steal one of those rice bags from the Waluigi brothers near Romani Ranch. What's that? Their mule abominations for mounts are somehow faster than Epona and you barely got away in one piece? You had to maim their steeds just to stand a chance at winning a race and escaping? You know, I guess that's fair seeing as Epona is still vying to join the cast of My Little Pony at her current age. For some reason that old man really likes that bag on your head, and so he uses it as a get-out-of-jail-free card for you to summon a dead tree out of there for you to hookshot to. How did he know you had a hookshot? Why did he summon a tree? I don't know. He's weird. Welcome to Ikana Canyon. Oh my goodness, hold on. Maybe this'll camouflage me. Hello, brother. It is I, your friend. Oh no. Oh god. What is that? That's a Nejiron. Don't get too close to it. Sniff, sniff. It smells like gunpowder. Okay, so here's what's really interesting about these guys. I'm gonna let them roll up one more time, just so you can see. So what we're looking at here, this is a merging of two textures with googly eyes on it. It is a Goron combined with a crouching Redead, and then they put frickin' like tired googly eyes on it. It's a Nejiron now. Oh my god, they move so slow too. They're not threatening at all, and this is the only place they spawn. I don't understand. The population of Akana Village is precisely 1.5, an 8-year-old girl and her researcher father. And before you think I was being clever calling it 1.5 because she's a child, no, the girl is not the half. Although one could make a compelling argument that 2.5 people live here if you count the thief living in a cave at the entrance, but I really doubt he actually pays any taxes living there. No, the business scrub didn't pay taxes either. When he moves to the ocean, he doesn't actually give us a title deed for his flower, so I'm pretty sure this flower was not acquired through legal channels. Dear God, I may have let the Walter White of Deku Scrubs fly off to do business at the ocean without so much as a background check. To help this girl out, we first need to drive away the swarm of the living dead who decided to march around her music box house. Now, you can certainly try disposing of these the old-fashioned way. Your transformations can't get their brains sucked out since Gibdos and Redeads don't have a taste for rock, wood, or fish brains, leaving them conveniently helpless. But the sounds of tenderized flesh didn't do much to assure her that the outside is a safe place for little kids to play. No, for this we will need to defile the grave of the cursed, freshly murdered and smashed, yet shockingly lucid soul of Luigi to teach us a song we used to know but forgot because Link didn't keep up with his ocarina lessons. Then we just play that song to the cursed and inexcusably vindictive soul of Mario so that he can undo the drought he caused when he drained the moat in Mario 64. I mean, for real, the music box house just plays the tune from the merry-go-round and Boo's haunt. Go ahead and go deep down in the iceberg if you want here. Since the undead Gibdos hate fun, they can't tolerate the sound of the perpetual carnival music, so the girl can finally come outside. I like to point out that while I hide like a coward behind my stone mask that allows monsters to ignore me, this little girl just runs past a flying, animated, burning skull without batting an eye so she can look down the shaft of a known haunted empty well. Okay then, kiddo. While out on her errand, she leaves the music box door unlocked, and if you leave your door unlocked with Link around, it is the universal invitation to have him come inside and smash all of your furniture. Link hopes these acts of vigilante vandalism will be enough to stem the tide of people not implementing proper home security measures. One depressing song to a corpse later, and it looks like they're gonna hug this out until the lunar death of the planet. But one man's curse is another man's treasure, and now we have the power to scream back at Gibdos when they yell at us to bring them beans. You know what? This is a really weird region. It's not that it was a rule of thumb that we needed to play the Song of Healing every time we were in a new area. We didn't play it at all in the swamp, and since there is no formal transformation for Ikana, it makes sense that even if we would end up playing it, that what we'd get wouldn't be as impactful as a new transformation, but this seems a little useless outside this well. Alright, I take it back. A long and tired session of fetch questing in the well gets us this lovely Pika Shock shield and also arbitrarily spit us out in the dried out moat for Ikana Castle. This is a mercifully short dungeon whose only real sticking point is serving you a reminder that the powder keg is a real item in your inventory that you definitely won't forget to buy at the start of each cycle. Oh, word to the wise as well. Don't fall from the roof unless you want to redo this entire dungeon over again. There are no shortcuts for stupidity. Baby hands. Everybody give it up for baby hands. Where the hell? Here you will encounter the king of the skeletons and learn some unconventional methods of combat.
Shoot him.
Can I eat the fish?
Try it.
I don't think I can eat the
I
fish.
don't think you can. I think you would just put it on the ground.
Go, distraction fish. Go. Defeat him, my minion. He'll also teach you how to create an army who will not falter in darkness. In song! And so Ben Drowned is born. There is a statue for each of your forms, all of which do look more or less like an unflattering corpse version of your transformations. Best not to think too hard about this, but we can now use these to depress switches on our way up Stone Tower, unless it's the Deku Scrub statue. Even a statue is useless. There's a good chance you got this far by leveraging the area's linear design and pure luck. Both of those are about to be tossed out the window for the rest of your stay in Akana. Ah, no! Oh no! Oh god, that was the worst that could have gone. After several fun moments of playing the Elegy of Emptiness every time you needed a new statue, you eventually make your way into Stone Tower, that looming stone saguaro cactus we've been waiting to enter for so long. This is one of the few temples that actually overshadow the region it's based in. To represent death, Ikana needed to be a lonely and desolate experience, so Eiji Aonuma needed to step up his game on the temple front to make this area feel as alive and interesting as the other places we visited. He did this by flipping the whole damn temple on its head. Though given how you get twisted upside down as well, it seems more like the world flips upside down around the tower, not the other way around. I swear every game that has time as a central mechanic uses an hourglass design in it at some point. Chekhov's hourglass, if you will. There's more to it than this, though. You need to use every one of your forms in Stone Tower in order to traverse the dungeon, adding credence to Ego Ikana's claim that 100 of his best men couldn't penetrate the tower. Perhaps because they were all ordinary humans, no Zora, Deku, or Gorons among those ranks. Or perhaps because we are just that cool. And that is that... Oh, 2 for 1! Oh my god! The fairy placements in here are just cruel, though. This particular fairy can stay right in the hell she spawned in with no rescue from me, thank you very much. Even with time slowed down and rolling at maximum pace as a Goron, you have milliseconds to pick her up. If you successfully avoid all the demon hands on your way through the tower, and in some cases deliberately let them grab you, eventually you'll wind up facing the Dark Souls of Majora bosses, who with some HDifying would be right at home on the cast of Bloodborne. You'll wrap up these trials by standing on the ceiling of a room where moments ago you killed the king of the hooded Garrows by coaxing him into detonating his body with explosives so his corpse couldn't fall into the hands of his enemy. You. Before you jump into the then sky, now strange pulsing sand pit to fight 2 giant sand centipedes in a sand-filled heaven while transforming yourself into a giant by wearing a mask we found in the dungeon earlier to cut the centipedes down to size and lay them to rest in a sandy grave. Is this all still clear to you? Because I feel like this all makes perfect sense. We good? Okay. If you help the Fairy of Kindness out, she'll give you the Great Fairy Sword imbued with the ultimate power from the black roses that are etched into it. I'm questioning the title of Fairy of Kindness if she had planned on using this thing, but hey, it's ours now. There's also a neat magic trick you can do with this sword. So, in this game, the mailboxes can be used to send letters, which means that you can have an item in your inventory that is in fact a letter that you can mail. You also can present to the mailbox items that you actually have on you, and it'll be all like, hey, I can't take that. But what happens if you have a equipable C button item that you then present to the box? Now your sword's invisible. There, the 4 butt-naked friends. We've done it, and Tingle didn't even invite himself. No, Tingle. You stay right by the children's playground in North Clocktown where you belong. Wait. Now we just need to make them meet the celestial body, but let's not be too hasty. You can't reasonably expect your friends to skip leg day and come help you without you having a little something to give them for their trouble, do you? No, we'll need some champagne to celebrate. And what better place to find champagne than at an ill-timed wedding? You may remember earlier I had mentioned Majora's Mask was inspired by a wedding attended during the Taipei-dong missile crisis in Japan. To some extent, this was a lie. Clearly, there was a lot more to this game than just a wedding, but there's no doubt that this inspiration is deeply interwoven into one of the most complex and involved side quests in the entire game. And like many good and involved side quests in video games, this leads with us playing the role of detective. If we make our way into City Hall, entering on Mayor Dautour's wife's side of the estate, we can find a journal cracked open. next to a meticulously placed photo of Anju, the innkeeper. The journal reads about how Cafe looks forward to the bachelor party that precedes his upcoming wedding with Anju, excited to show off his wedding mask and speak in detail about all the things he loves his new wife for to his pals. This all seems innocent enough, thinks Link, having just skirted past the most powerful woman in Clocktown to sneak about her son's bedroom and read his journal. But upon interviewing the mother, it's clear that not all is right with the world. Her son, Cafe, is missing, and has, by extension, missed his wedding as well. Seeing that you've already overturned the bedroom searching for something, Madame Aroma tasks you as the lead investigator for finding her son, and presents you a mask in his likeness so that those that gaze upon it will have their memories of recent events jogged. Our first suspect, the bride-to-be, Anju of the Stockpot Inn. Now, we could reasonably question her at the crack of dawn should we desire it, but patience is crucial here, for we must not only trust that our investigation can yield knowledge from the words of others, but that we be primed such that should new evidence or suspects present, will be just as much a witness as any other onlooker. We must book a room in the Stockpot Inn as our base of operations, a sought-after commodity indeed in the prelude to the Carnival of Time. Fortunately, our somewhat mystical bomber's notebook tells us a special event awaits in the afternoon of the first day on Anju's timeline. If we wait long enough and speak to her then without wearing Cafe's mask, she'll be relieved that there is someone else who serendipitously shares our name, and so the room key for the knife chamber is ours for the taking. No harm done. The Goron who arrives, who is destined to receive the room, will instead be content to sleep outside with the cuckoos for the duration of the carnival instead. What's more, our first suspect is happy to share what she knows after receiving a mysterious letter from an unknown source around 2:30 in the afternoon, and will meet with us in secret in the Stockpot kitchen at 11:30 that night to discuss further. We wait patiently in the kitchen, though late and apologetic is Anju's nature, and she isn't truly ready for us until closer to midnight. She's not very good at the maintenance of this place either, as you can see. Fortunately, we are not here as the health inspector. The letter Anju had received was from Cafe. This acts as damning evidence that he likely was not kidnapped. Our job now is to play mail courier, as Anju lacks the courage to confront her lover over his seeming desertion. With this taken care of, we can rest easy knowing the letter will be delivered to him, and with some stalking of the mailman, we'll find where he's been hiding. Ah, but what's this? A robbery out here at this hour in this place? There. Swift and exact Hammurabi justice. I'd admit I didn't expect the woman's bag of products to be quite so volatile, but what's done is done. The old lady gets to go home, no large burden on her back, reducing her lifespan, and one less thief in the world. The rest of our night goes uneventfully, and lo and behold, Cafe's been holed up at the laundromat this whole time. Cafe explains that his wedding mask was stolen by a thief who frequents the curiosity shop to pawn off his stolen goods, and that the peephole in this strange storage room allows him to see into the shop to stalk this thief back to the hideout where he is keeping his treasure. Cafe also hands us his pendant so he can present it to Anju as proof that he intends to keep his vows and that she should wait for him in her room at the Stockpot Inn. Oh, and I guess he also mentions the Skull Kid cursed him to live out his life in a child's body, but that's beside the point. There are interesting theories, however, about how, assuming this is a parallel universe to Ocarina of Time, that would make Cafe Link's parallel. Where Link was a child in an adult's body, Cafe is an adult trapped in a child's body. It's a good thing he provides us this detail, too. We can overhear on the night of the second day a discussion between Anju and her mother, where her mother hypothesizes that Cafe eloped with Anju's best friend Crimea prior to the wedding. You can't really blame the poor guy, but it's only based on pure conjecture. Cafe's plans fall apart here, though. Cafe never leaves this room until the moon's final descent, and Anju dies alone in her hotel room, filled with the longing hope we helped give her that trapped her in her final moments of life in complete isolation, with not even family to support her. You see, it's not as simple as letting things unfold. Our sense of justice exacted upon an errant thief on the night of the first day resulted in no product being delivered to the curiosity shop. Don't you find it odd that the curiosity shop is only ever open at night, and almost never has any goods to sell, mostly buying other people's stock? How can such a business model stay solvent? The answer lies in the general store, where a conspicuously similar-looking shop owner works during the daylight hours before being replaced by a night shift part-timer. You see, the motive is all here. The only competitive shop not owned by the criminal business mogul maintaining the general store and curiosity shop is the bomb shop, and their incoming product posed a tremendous threat to the continued survival of our esteemed shop owner's businesses. He ordered the theft of this product and delivery so that he could stock it instead, steal their clientele, and sink their business as the only bomb sellers in town. But that didn't happen this cycle. The thief is dead. The bombs evaporated. Cafe has no one to stock, and the curiosity shop has no bombs to stock. For the first time, simply helping people isn't good enough. To save the wedding, the bomb shop family's business must suffer, an ethical quandary where there can be one and only one survivor. Let's try this again. Now that's more like it for what I'd expect to see on the third day. Apparently the curiosity shop owner knew Cafe when he was a child and hands us the Keaton mask he had given Cafe all those years ago out of a misplaced sense of guilt, I presume. He also gives us a letter to deliver to his mother. Delivering this letter lets us fulfill our obligation to Madame Aroma and frees the mailman from the torment of working a 9 to 3 in the middle of an unavoidable cataclysmic disaster. Cafe still needs us to help him at Sakon's hideout. That's right, the cave-dwelling thief of Akana was our man all along. If you time this right, you can see Sakon come to his cave and enter it the proper way. I forgot about this though, so I just rolled through the person-sized crevice on the left side of the boulder to clip inside. Works just as well. A few block puzzles later, we have the mask, and we can finally see Cafe and Anju reunited moments before the moon crashes into Termina. Probably one of the most touching moments in the game, and one of the most memorable of any game I have ever played. Unfortunately, this was a very sobering wedding and not a drop of champagne. I hope our friends the Giants don't mind. This is the part of the video where we'd normally bring you back to the first paragraph of the script, where we dangled a tantalizing idea in front of you before prattling on about dozens of unrelated circumstances in the game to come around and say, "See, seems like there was a whole lot of good stuff in here, far more interesting than that base concept I threw at you at the start, right?" Well, I'd be lying if the celestial body giant party didn't exceed expectations. After stopping the moon, Majora interferes, dropping the facade of Skull Kid ever being in any real control, stopping time itself to be absorbed up into the moon's windpipe. We accompany and find ourselves in a vibrant, green tree on a hill heaven surrounded by child mask salesmen. Masked child salesmen? Mask-selling childmen? Little masked sales children, who all seem convinced it's our destiny to be salesmen as well. And we fulfill that destiny spectacularly by distributing all of our masks we've collected to these mask-starved children, each of whom wear the remains we collected from the 4 boss encounters we've had over the course of the game. Each child has a chamber for us to conquer, as well as deep questions for us to mull over. If you do the right thing, does it make everyone happy? No. Do the people you think of as friends think of you as their friend? When it suits them. What makes you happy? Does it make other people happy too? Based on Fortnite still being the most popular game on Twitch 3 years running, clearly not. Is the face under the mask your true face? If not, then this is a very unsettling episode of Goosebumps. I'll do you a favor so you don't end up hating yourself. Goron Rolling returns with a vengeance in this final leg. Turn off your targeting computer so you don't go careening in the ravine on every attempt. And while it's easy to forget your good old friend, the powder keg, it's even easier to forget bringing along some bomb chews. A mandatory requirement for completing the twin mold child's dream room. While it does provide you a few in the dungeon itself, good luck figuring this out, as bomb chew timing and targeting mechanics were a largely unexplored idea in the main and side dungeons leading up to this point. We arrive at Majora Child, our mask inventory empty. To make things fair, he gives us a mask so we can play cops and robbers. He'll be the good guy, and we'll be the bad guy. Whatever, we'll still be number 1. With the Fierce Deity mask, you can completely obliterate the final fight against Majora in less than a couple minutes. The mask form, pygmy long-legged fever dream form, and her full roids form, complete with whips ripped straight from her eye sockets, go down with no trouble at all. Voiced by the same person as this cow, perhaps? And that's all. The game is beaten. Skull Kid learns that the Giants are super chill and are the kind of people who call everyone friends, even the mountain giant. And you can feel the satisfaction of having saved 98% of people from having to continue to suffer while listening to the sickest jazz lick in the history of Zelda sax solos. Now is when we also realize that we've been playing as the Deku Butler's dead son this whole time. I'm sorry that your son wasn't super useful, Mr. Butler, sir. Maybe if you water him, he'll get better? And the wedding is still on, even though it seems like the curse on Cafe is permanent. So is he going to age normally, or has he also been cursed with immortality, raising entirely new issues for his relationship with Anju further down the line? Also, for the impatient among you, though I doubt you sat through the entire 40-page script of this, you could skip everything we just went through and cut right to saving the world by performing the 4th day glitch. Just stare at the moon in the observatory until the last possible millisecond, and there you go. A 4th day where the moon isn't there anymore. Though in this weird new reality, the sky is always stuck at dawn, and the only human being who's still alive is the doggy racetrack owner who is so stunned by the end of civilization as she knows it that she has nothing to say to you. That's all. That was the video. I hope you enjoyed time traveling with me through the nooks and crannies of this game and for sticking through to the end. Feel free to subscribe for more content like this, and of course hit the little bell so you don't have to sift through piles of high-quality video game metal covers and puppy videos to find my degenerate video in the mix. If you want to see me play video games live, I do that Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays around 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch, and I'm also part of a fortnightly podcast called The Podosaurus. Links to all things will be in the description, so carry on, and I will see you next time.